Hey music fans, as a roadie I had this great opportunity to tour with all these bands. I wrote a book about my experiences on the road and it was the #1 new release on Amazon and Bios and it's now sold millions of copies on Kindle. I'm Joel Roadie and this is my podcast, Party Like a Rock Star. This episode features my friend Kyle Talcher. Kyle's a bro. He was the frontman of an influential nardcore band out of Oxnard, California here by the name of Dr. No. If you've never heard of him, influential's cool, and that Kurt Cobain was a fan. You guys can check him out in this photo here from when he was, I think it said 18 years old, but look at the poster on the wall. Look at the other one too. I love some Black Flag. I hope you guys do too. Anyway, what Kyle's been up to since then. So, Kyle wrote a track called Mr. Freeze. It was covered by Slayer. That led him on to some other ventures. He'll explain in one of these episodes. But he became a visual effects artist. He's been nominated for 8 Emmys. He's won 2 Emmys. Those were for Firefly and Battlestar Galactica. He just recently worked on Top Gun in the visual effects department. More recent than that, what he actually started up here during COVID was writing. And so I have one of his books here, Live Wire. It was a present from him for my birthday last year. It was real cool. I appreciated it. You can read more about Kyle. You can check out his other books and see what he's up to always at kyletalcher.com. You can find his books also on amazon.com and enjoy. I also want to throw a thank you, a shout out to the people at Cream Magazine. They sent me their newest issue. You can go to cream.com and you can subscribe to the magazine yourself. If you don't think Cream's cool, you're not cool. It's great that we got some publications back, I think. I think it's neat. So anyway, let's jump into this episode here with Kyle and see what he has to say. Let's give it a go. Okay, so if we've got one more, there's a band that I think spawned all this. It's a band called NINGEN ISU, and it spawned it because I played you NINGEN ISU and you really liked it, if I recall. So.
Yeah, those guys are massive. This is the 3-piece kind of older Cats.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So they're legit. They're legit, man.
They're legit. So they came out with a newer track here. This came out, I'm guessing about a month ago or so. And so you can listen to their newest release.
So a lot of the bands are they just releasing tracks intermittently, or is everybody doing full albums?
So NINGEN ISU is a full album.
Okay.
So this is a track from that full album that I thought was awesome. And being that you already like them, I think you'll like it, but we can see together.
Oh, we'll see. They have street cred.
Let's give it a go. Cool. What did you
I
think?
like how you get one big kick in the nuts at the end when you think the song is over.
Totally.
That
Yeah.
restaurant. You know, these guys are just they're 100 feet high. That when they're chugging on that low E string, dun, 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 dun. I mean, that's low. That's like C sharp or C. I mean, that's Sabbath low. And you can hear the influence of that band in there, obviously. And that's how low Iommi tuned down to C sharp. He took a normal guitar tuning and tuned down a whole step and a half for a couple of reasons. His injured fret hand, he's left-handed, but his injured fret hand, and it just sounded so massive. You know, nobody was doing that 50 years ago. You know, and its influence, of course, has permeated, you know, ever since. And you can really hear it in these guys. And what's great, it's a really strong three-piece. It's just the groove is in the pocket. You know, it's not 800 miles an hour with, you know, pyrotechnics and aside from the flames in the background. But there's no, it's kind of a no frills thing. Even the song is heavy and it's long and it's kind of complex. It's still groovy, you
Yeah.
know, which I think has a lot more staying power because it's just, you know, it has a real weight to it, you know.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
there's an old saying that Black Sabbath is heavy, but Judas Priest is metal, you know, and that's kind of, and it kind of really still holds true. Like the Sabadon, it's a metal band, you
Yeah.
know, and I mean, Ningen Isu, those guys are fucking heavy, you know, and
Yeah.
that's what's great about those guys. If they tour, we're going to take a car service and we're going to go, and so we can drink, you know, and
Yeah.
got to see these guys. I hope they come to the States
Oh,
this year.
dude, I'd go with you. We'd have so
Oh
much.
yeah, just get pummeled
Oh, I
too.
would be in heaven. We'll drink some Japanese whiskey.
Yeah, maybe yeah, sneak in a bottle of Hibiki and just get serious. You know, try to get
Oh,
as small as possible. But I think they're a great band, and I'd really interested to hear the whole record because there's a lot. Now those guys have been around for quite a while, right? They're older cats,
that's right. 80s.
so if they've been doing this for 40 years. I don't know because I've
Yeah,
only just
they've got,
recently heard of them.
I think 16 albums or something somebody
Yeah,
said on here. They got a
so
lot.
they've been on that trajectory for a while, though. Just that huge,
Yeah.
groovy, heavy, dark influence. You know, it's just
Yeah,
there's
that
a
first track I played you was called Heartless Scat, and that really
yes.
brought them to new audiences. But this is so good.
Oh, it's great. And I wonder, is that a translation of a Japanese title? Because heartless scat, you know, I mean, scat could be
Oh,
interpreted as feces,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So I mean, so you're a fucking heartless fuck turd. You know, maybe that's what it means. You're a heartless turd. You know, I don't know. And that song was great because it has this great vocal line over this other C sharp pummeling riff in there, and there's all this, and even reading the English translation under the lyrics are cool. I mean, it's
Yeah,
awesome.
they were.
There's nothing to hate there. Plus, you got a yakuza on drums. How can you hate that? You know. So what it makes it look like to me when I hear the like the band we played before that, who's uh, Love Bite, that seems corporate to me
Yeah.
as opposed to these guys. These guys seems like a band have been together for a long time. They might have come out of the garage and fucking come up in the clubs and slugged it out on the road. Who knows? You know, while they have day jobs and they're struggling. You know, I don't know. You know,
Yeah.
that might have been the traditional path just because of their age and how old that band might be. So the other stuff, although it's well done and very, but it's really big. It's really produced. It's like almost the Taylor Swift of metal in that way,
Taylor
right?
Swift. Okay.
You know, and it doesn't mean that it's not well executed or anything like that, but there's something about it to me that feels corporate, you
Okay.
know, and they're doing something right. They got a pile of fans and the stuff's, you know, it's listenable,
I
but
love it. I like the two guitars coming up front and just destroying it. I think they're awesome.
yeah, the girl in the Les Paul was leaning into her wah pedal and just, you know, just taking
Yeah.
everybody to school on that. That was a great solo. So I mean, these people can play. Are they
Yeah.
harvesting these kids out of music academies or something? I don't know. You
I don't
know,
know, but they're really good. So,
yeah.
okay, quick question for you. So, you were talking about slugging it out, and you said a few moments ago. What's the craziest gig you ever did? What's first to come to mind of like, how are we here? What's going on? And just madness.
You know, we played all through when I was doing the Dr. No thing in the 80s. We did shows that just turned into fights back then. You know, there'd be a lot of that time with skinheads at the time. They were just there to drink and fight and shit, you know. And excuse me. we'd have shows that were just giant that were playing with big handlers like Bad Brains and Circle Jerks and stuff like that, where just the intensity of the room is so crazy. You just have these giant pits going on and people flying off the PA. And, you know, I have a Dan Armstrong guitar. They're a clear guitar that was made from 69 to 71. If you've seen a picture of the guitar player from Black Flag, for example, he's played one. A lot of us played these things because they're cool looking. And we were playing in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I remember this, and it was 1985. Place just went monkey shit while we're playing. Maybe Mr. Freeze, who knows, right? And the stage is low because it's a dump. I'm getting shocked by the mic. I mean, this place is a toilet, you know. But a whole thing broke out. It turned into like this another skinhead melee thing, and it wasn't. They weren't the circular mosh pits back then. I mean, it was like it was almost like a nuclear reaction. There were just atoms of people flying in all directions and colliding in the middle. Right? It was an atom smasher of people. Anyways, that whole thing tumbles onto the stage. And I had this, homemade pedal board at the time and all this and my clear guitar. And, I'm 22, 23 years old and it all hits me. And the cable goes into the car, smashes the pick guard, all the stuff, and renders the guitar inoperable. Luckily, I had a spare, so I had to send the guitar home. And the bummer about that is it's actually a vintage rare collectible guitar, and it just completely destroyed the value of the guitar. After that, I was foolish for taking that on the road, but I was young and I didn't know. That's like a personal damage. We got our van broken into and stolen stuff from us, merch and money, and not money, but merch, and which is money, stolen in New York. I've gotten pulled over by what do you call them, state troopers in Missouri. I had long black hair down to here with screaming red roots and black nails, and they busted us with a bunch of alcohol and drug residue. And all they did is shake us down for a t-shirt money. So we had to give them $485 and they let us go. So that was a whole shakedown. But we did these Bad Brain shows in Atlanta at a place called the Metroplex, I think it was called, and it just turned into complete chaos in there because they just filled the room. And when we played, it was pretty bananas. And then by the time they went on, the crowd was completely primed and it just exploded. Not really into violence, just the most intense punk rock nutso stuff you've ever seen. It was great. And we're really fortunate to be able to hook up and play with a lot of different DOA and so the CJ's been touring with the Circle Jerks, a whole tour with the Exploited in 1987, which is this pretty riotous, drunken Scottish Mohawk band.
Oh, and, sure.
Professional drinkers,
and
yeah, I didn't have my pro card yet in 1987. Boy, but these guys did. And
yeah.
Going through the Smoky Mountains one afternoon, everybody's on fucking on mushrooms, and just shit like that. And we stop to get gas. The drummer jumps out and sees a hotel and jumps in the pool. And then the pool employees or excuse me, the hotel employees are chasing him back to the van, and he's in his underwear laughing. And it's like 95 degrees out. Everybody's tripping balls, and narrow escapes. And so we're all tripping. So we go to the next town and we stop at a gas station, I think, to get beer. We're paying for a 12-pack with change, and we're almost to the hallucinatory point. Fucking high. And we just get the beer, pay for it with change. We look like total jabronis. We're just not in our element at all. A bunch of California dummies, punk rock guys in some town in fucking Kentucky or whatever. And just as we're leaving, a state trooper car pulls up and blocks the door, and just your whole nervous system turns into an ice cube. Your bladder suddenly becomes this big, and and we just freeze standing there with this 12-pack of beer, and of course we're all thinking he can tell we're high, this guy gets out of the car, he's 6'3", at least it seemed, with a hat bigger than this, and we just like freeze. And he just says, "Excuse me, fellas," like walks between us and into the store, just put the beer in the car, just took off. We thought oh my God, I'm going to go to jail when I'm hallucinating. I'm going to go to jail when I'm hallucinating.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff doesn't really the clubs. It was just the stuff around it, mostly through traveling and stuff. Just all kinds of ridiculous stories, being broke and eating bologna and sneaking into a KOA compound.
Yeah.
Just poor stuff, and that's what slugging it out in the clubs was back then. You got to
Yeah.
remember this was 40 years ago. There used to be a hot telephone credit card thing going around, and credit card numbers would be going around to all the different bands, so you could call and book your shows.
Yeah.
And that's because we didn't have a booking agent, so it was all kind of a DIY, type thing. So you run a U-Haul and maybe rent a van, disconnect the odometer, which you could do back then, and then connect the odometer maybe when you're coming back like from Texas. So you put at least some miles on the van after having had it for 3 months. You put 4,000 miles on it or something, because you had to pay 3 cents a mile or whatever it was back then. So we found a way to go down there and disconnect the odometer, which means we didn't have a speedometer, So
Yeah.
there were all kinds of, poverty, um, poverty fueled workarounds that we had to
Cool.
deal with. And you're kids, and you don't realize what a cunt you're being by doing things like that. But it wouldn't even occur to me now to engage.
Speaking of being a kid, so some of my friends, but one of my buddies is he's got a kid in 5th grade, and she was when I started this, so I guess she's in 7th now or whatever it is. And anyway, she said a good question to ask every guest, and I have found it good. I like it. Is when did you first feel famous, or when was there an event, a catalyst in your life that made you feel special, an event, something that happened where you first felt famous?
Well, I never felt famous, but one thing is that we hadn't played any shows in a long time, and in 2011, we we got back together. The first show we did was at the Ventura Theater, which was near Oxnard, where we're from.
Mhm.
And we did our sound check, and I left the venue and had dinner and stuff, and came back like 4.5 hours later, and the show was going full steam. And I walked in, and the direct support band who was going to play right before us was finishing up their set, and the room was packed to the rafters, and there was 1,000 degrees in there, and everybody there came to see us. I was like, wow, that's great. And then we launch into our first tune, and there's a dead stop in the middle of it, and the place went fucking monkey shit.
Nice.
When we did that, and that was an awesome feeling. It was great, and to look down and see people who are my age and their kids. In a lot of cases, this guy brings his son, who's got his, wearing a damned shirt or whatever it is, and he's singing "Life Returns" and "God Told Me To" and all these songs back to us, and these guys are 30 years younger. So that was cool. It wasn't like, oh, I'm famous. Look, I got a free Pepsi. It was more about the longevity of it, and realized that there was still an audience for us. And that was really cool. And we saw that in a lot of the places we would go. It was between 50 and 50, I don't know, whatever it was, 53, 54. I'm 61 now. And it was great, because people were still there and they still remembered and they wanted to hear it and they really enjoyed it. And the band sounded really good in those years too. It was a monster. And, of course, the irony was now that we could afford nice gear, we never had the time to play. And, but we really, worked on retooling the songs and making sure everything was tight, not repeating some of the sloppy, unprofessional stuff in earlier shows, and make it at a presentation. And go, if you're going to do this, it needs to come back badder and meaner. You can't go out there looking like you're on your lunch break with a combo amp on a chair.
Did
So
you
the whole
play
thing was
at that show? Did you play the acts that you showed me, the one with all the stickers, the old school one? You have
oh no. I played my Les Pauls for that.
you did.
I'd switched to Les Pauls for that. Then we did another show too where we had some ex-members come up and play a couple of songs. I played my clear guitar for that, and that still has the sweat from that show on it, by the way. There's just a stain of just sweat in it. But no, I was playing Les Pauls by then, and because they just sound so good,
Yeah, they do.
and they sound great. And I have a '76 Custom that I've had restored, and you can do almost anything on it.
Cool.
It's awesome, but it weighs 870 pounds. There's nothing like a great piece of mid-70s Honduran mahogany. One of the last of the Kalamazoo era interceptors. It's a beautiful guitar. And 40th anniversary of our first record is next year, so maybe we'll put something together for that. I don't know. We need to make that decision soon, though, about what we're going to do with that. But
Yeah.
it was a great experience when I was a kid to be able to do that. And it was great to come back in my 50s and do it again because people really enjoyed it. It was really fun. It sounded great and it was awesome. You know, but now I really enjoy writing. I enjoy writing fiction, and I do that a lot now. And I'm probably going to do it tonight after we hang out.
Would you
So
write nonfiction, do you think? Would you write about being on the road and all that stuff?
yeah, I might work stories of character, things that have happened in my life into characters and stuff like that. Because the character, like in this book, this is live. This is my novel Livewire right here. This thing right
Yeah.
here. Look at that. Available wherever fine paperbacks and or ebooks are sold. And I tell people it's like think of it as Michael Crichton and Stephen King on a lunchtime bender. What would they think of it? They were sitting there drinking at lunch. So it is the cosmic horror sci-fi thriller. And it's about, I don't know, 280 pages or so. About 82,000 words, and it'll keep you busy. And I guarantee you this, you will never look at a high tension tower, these electrical transmission towers, you'll never look at them the same way. So, and as we go into the characters' lives and stuff in these writings and stuff, as well as the, intense action, intense horror scenes that are in there, there's little snippets and stuff from things I've experienced or people I've known or, influenced by that,
Cool.
So, yeah, especially the podcast guy in the newsboy hat,
Yeah, well, there you go.
He dies horribly. Sorry.
I got my copy over there.
I'm telling you, man, just put it in the bathroom, just read it intermittently like you would a software manual.
Deal.
Yeah.
So very last question then is
I'm 6'1" and I'm a Leo.
well, I already knew. I already have. Of all of the bands that we heard here, what would be the band you would choose to listen one more track of if we had the time? What would be the next one for you?
No, NINGEN ISU for sure.
Yeah,
you want a bucket of that. I like the Iron Maiden girls too. They're awesome. They seem honest to me.
Nemophila. Yeah, they're
not the other ones are bad. That's not what I mean. But and the Sabadon, they got a good thing going, And
Sabadon's cool too. Yeah, I like Nemophila. Like,
sure, there's a lot of booze at their shows. I get the feeling there's a lot of booze at their shows.
Yeah. The guitar player I've actually been in touch with a bit. I do a lot of, he does his own stuff. He releases a track a week when he can. And so really great singer, man. And he never sings in Sabaton, actually. Oh, maybe he does it coming, but he's not the lead. So it's funny, man. And this dude can sing. Killer guitar player, awesome piano player. So
so he's doing the keyboards in that first song in the Bismarck tune.
I would imagine. I've never looked, but yeah. He's really good, so he could.
Yeah, they're a good band.
They're really good band.
All the bands are good. There's just a different. There's a presentation level and thing like that. There's a big difference between a lot of it.
Yeah.
But NINGEN ISU, I like what they're doing. Those guys are made out of big fat legit blocks of legit. I hope they're doing well, and I hope they're making a living at it.
Me too, man. Me too.
Yeah, I think I like anything that's done well. Anything that's done well, even if it's there's 70s pop hits that are fantastic because they're done so well.
Sure.
Bay City Rollers notwithstanding, but
ooh.
Medican hit.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time. I always do.
Of course, you bet, Joel. I was glad to do it. To do it. That's your P bass back there, by the way?
Yeah. You've never seen it?
No, I never knew that. Is it some relic that you never sold on eBay? Is it a 1961 harvested from the grave of a vampire or what?
It's pretty darn cool. It's a pretty beautiful instrument. Yeah. It's a 65, I think. 65.
Oh, it's a 65. Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's lovely. It's older than you.
It is. So, and it's cooler than me. So
yeah, it ain't older than me, you ripping shavers. So, anyways, that's what the old guy thinks about some of the new stuff. So
cool deal. All right.
All righty.
Appreciate it.
All right. Good seeing everybody. Good talking to you, Joel.
Cool.
All right. Kirk out.
Hey, the podcast is over. What are you still doing here? Well, while you're here, like and subscribe. Thanks.